first thing we need to do is we need to open up our player class, and we need to modify our movement method. So currently, we're using the WSAD keys or the arrow keys to move our player. What we want to include is we want to keep the consistency of using the WSAD keys, but we also want to include the cross-platform input manager to detect if you're on mobile, then use that joystick. Now this is really easy to do. In order to do this, you can see here in our movement function, let me go ahead and find that. You can see here that this is just for player 1, I'm not going to be worrying about player 2 or anything like that. We call this movement method. And inside here, we have float horizontal input equals input.getAccess horizontal. That input manager is specific to our game. We need to modify this to include the cross-platform input manager. And the way we do that is we simply type cross-platform input manager. Now it's not going to autofill because we actually have to include this package. So it's a namespace. So if we actually right-click this in Visual Studios and you go to Quick Actions and Refactoring, it's going to say using Unity Standard Assets.cross-platform input. If you click that, it will then go ahead and automatically add it for you at the top here. But you can also just type it in yourself using Unity Standard Assets.cross-platform input. By typing that, that gives us the ability to type in cross-platform input manager dot get access, and then the code is the same, just your horizontal input. We'll go ahead and save that, and we're going to comment out the old. We'll do the exact same thing for our vertical. Cross-platform input manager, and we'll get access vertical. Now this is going to work on both PC as well as mobile. Go ahead and comment out the original. Let's go ahead and save our script, hop back into Unity, and let's go ahead and test this out. It looks like I may have missing a semicolon. All right, go ahead and save your script, hop back into Unity, make sure there's no errors, and go ahead and run the game. And you'll notice now that you can actually move the joystick, and you'll see here that whichever direction we move the joystick, our player is moving. So we already have the mobile movement. So what's next? We need to actually do this button. Now the button is very easy. The button is going to work the exact same way. So how are we firing currently? We fire whenever you left click. So hop over to your script, click on where our shoot method, which is right here, and you'll see here that it's actually controlled right here. So if you hit the space key, or if you left click and you're player 1, then you're going to shoot. What we're going to do is we're actually going to change that logic. Now, to do this properly, the logic for us, we're hard coding in the left click here. So you're going to either have to know you're on Android to have like a separate set of if statements running, or you can just remove this logic and just have the mobile input. So I'm going to show you both ways. So say we want to remove this hard code and we're going to check for mobile. We're going to use a cross-platform input, and we have that button that we created. So this button here that they give us, the text of it is fire, and if you look on the jump button itself, you'll see here that the name for that button is jump. Go ahead and rename that to fire. That is going to be the button access that we are going to use. So over here, we'll access cross-platform input manager, and instead of like get button down or get key down, we're going to use get button down, cross-platform input manager.get button down, and the name of the button. And for us, it's going to be fire. Okay, go ahead and save this. And it looks like I'm missing a parenthesis. All right, so go ahead and save this. Let's hop back into Unity. Go ahead and run this. And you'll see here that when I click, nothing happens. I can move left and right. And when I click my fire button, we now fire. So right now, our game is ready for mobile. Now, what if you want to add that functionality back, though, for if you're on PC platform? This is where these preprocessors come in. Unity allows us to detect if you're on Android, run this code. If you're on PC, run this code. So we're going to use what's called a preprocessor. So these are called preprocessors. We're going to open up Google and we're going to type in Unity preprocessor. Hop over to platform dependent compilation, and you'll see here that we have these tags. And it detects if you're in the editor, if you're using Windows, OS X, or anything like that. So what I want to know is if you're on Unity Android. So directive for the Android platform. So let's go ahead and copy this. And what we can do here is we're going to have two sets of if statements. Here, and how do we use these, right? So if we actually look at this, define directive for the Android platform. And let's see if they give an example on how to use this. And they do. So here, these are called directives. So what we're going to be doing is hashtag if, and then whatever the preprocessor is. So for us, it's Unity Android, I believe. And it is. It says it right here, Unity Android. So let's copy that. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to go ahead and we're going to type in hashtag if, hashtag end if. All right, so here we're going to have Android. So we will go ahead and say, let's see here, we're going to have hashtag if, and we'll go ahead and put Unity Android. And we can put hashtag end if. All right. So anything in between here is going to get executed if you're on an Android platform. So the code that we want to run if you're on Android is going to be this specifically. We're going to go ahead and place this inside our Android code here. So if you're on Unity Android, we're going to run this code. Else, we're going to go ahead and remove this, and we're going to add back our other one. We're going to say input.get mouse button down and 0. Okay, now both will work. So if you're on Android, we're going to go ahead and take note that you're on Android. And if you're not on Android, then we want to allow you to use the mouse. Go ahead and save this, hop back into Unity. You can go ahead and run your game and make sure we don't have any missing errors, missing a parenthesis. Go ahead and save this. Another thing we can do to be safe is inside this end if here, we can actually add an else if. So here we have if Unity Android, and we can go ahead and say else. We're going to go ahead and run this shoot method. So just go ahead and put that inside there. And then we still end it with the end if. And we can go ahead and remove it from here. So if player 1 equals true, we call the movement method, which is going to handle all the joystick stuff. If you're on Android, we're going to run this. Else, we're going to run this. Now, it doesn't look like it's compiling right now. So let's go ahead, hop over to the Unity documentation. And let's see how we implement the else. So platform custom hashtag defines. So I don't know if we need an else if to use an else, but it should work. Let's look up how to do, let's see here. Let's do a preprocessor if else, C#. So preprocessor directives. Here, let's look at how to do an else. And there's no, okay, end if must be the next preprocessor directive after else. See if, for example. So it says here, hashtag else lets you create a compound conditional directive. So if, optional else if, the compiler will evaluate all code between hashtag else and the subsequent end if. So that syntax is correct. We have our hashtag end if, hashtag else. Maybe it's just not highlighting properly in Visual Studios. Let's go ahead and save this and let's test it out. Go ahead and run it. And does not seem to compile. An easy fix as well would be to add an else if. So in their example here, they're doing an else with an if, else if. So we can just check here for else if. So else if Unity iOS. Let's go ahead and do that because it'd be the same thing for iOS. So copy. Let's just copy this whole, oh, actually no, I'm just going to copy this. All right, so here we have else if Unity IO. Should that be iOS? I think so. iOS. So else if Unity iOS, we're going to go ahead and do this. And then here we will have a hashtag else. And we can go ahead and put some code in here as well. And that way there's no mistakes because I believe input.getMouseButtonDown 0 is a tap on a mobile device. So every time you tap, you don't want to necessarily fire. And let's see here, hashtag else. So there's something is off here and I don't see it. Looking at platform custom hashtag defines. Let's go ahead and just copy that in. We are using end if. So let's see here. Okay, actually this may be okay. Okay, this may be okay because I think perhaps it recognizes the platform we're on. So a quick way to test this would be to switch the platform back to Windows, which I'll do for you guys. Give me 1 second here, let's just make sure. Gonna go ahead and pause the video and switch platforms. Okay, so I've switched back to the PC platform. We have our pre-processing directives in there. Let's go ahead and test this out. And you'll see here it is working. So it registers which platform your game is set to. So I'm going to go back to File, Build Settings, hop back into Android, and I will see you guys when I finish. All right, so we'll go ahead and run this, make sure everything is okay. And it looks like all of our code is good. We are on Android. I can go ahead and fire. So what we're going to do now is we are going to build our game. So I'll see you guys in the next video.